We're going to talk about the Zoom H4 Essentials. This is the newest update as of this year from Zoom for their little line of recorders, and what this introduces that's unique in these small lines, or unique today, is 32-bit recording, 32-bit float, which enables very loud sounds to get recorded without clipping and makes accurate gain controls not as needed in the field. So we're going to do a quick tour. You would use these for small shoots, definitely for interview shoots. You don't need to use the sound devices, even though they're far more ergonomic. If you're doing an interview with one person, please check one of these out. If you're doing something like a cinematography project where you have two people speaking, you could do two boom mics or two lavs to one of these and be fine. So that would work sufficiently. The difficulty with the Zoom recorders is if you need to put two lavs on people and a boom, or two booms, two lavs. So that's where you take the step up and need to go to a multi-input recorder. Well, this is a 4-channel recorder. It's the 2 channels up here and the 2 inputs, or using the supplemental line in that is just 1/8 inch for something like a CD or off of output from a computer. So this does take AA batteries. I put in 2 of my rechargeables. They do eat through batteries maybe a couple hours when you have phantom power on, so be careful to have extra batteries with you. And they use microSD cards. So those are the little guys. Be careful not to lose or break your microSD card. And the equipment office does not check these out. You need to provide your own. And the on button is over here on the side. It's a little slider that you have to hold to turn it on so you don't accidentally turn this off. So I'll turn this on, hold it down till the red light comes on, and it will boot up. So once you turn it on, of course you want to make sure you format your card in the device. You have to use the wheel on the side to navigate, and then there's an enter button to execute. So onto the SD card, hit enter. Always do a format when you put a new device, a new card in a device. So format, up, execute, and enter. Okay. And if you're worried about this card, you can do a quick test or full test to test the card and just make sure it's good to go. All right. And enter key closes this. All right. So we're going to set our inputs. We're going to go through actually, let's just go through the order. So you have your file list. There's no files, right? That would be where you'd go to see if there are files to play back. Input. Don't turn low cut off. This currently has mono mix turned on, which this is for the top plugs for these mics. Input 1, low cut is off, phantom is on, so that would provide phantom power. This has it so they're independent on the inputs. I often go to stereo only to be able to hear better. Let me back up. Okay, so this gives kind of some settings. When you go to mixer, you can see what's armed and what's not. So you can see 1 and 2 are armed right now, and 1 and 2 are armed right now, and the built-in mics up here are not. If I press this button, that will arm the mic. If I turn off 1, now 1 and 2 are not armed because those are linked. The reason they are linked is so that you can hear the left in your left ear and the right in your right ear. Okay, so let's get out of mixer so we get back to settings. Go ahead and we very rarely use these mics, in all honesty. If you're worried about your situation and you're able to point these in the right direction, you may want to use them. Let's go through our settings. Input. On mic, I don't know why somebody chose mono mix on this. I'm going to turn that off because it basically throws away some of the data, and I never like to throw away data. Okay, 2. Low cut is off, phantom is on, good. 1 and 2 link is on. I want it to be on stereo so I hear left and right channels. If you turn it to off. So you do not want to use the MS feature. MS stands for mid and side. You're most likely not filming for production sound in that way. So I'm going to go to stereo. And we're going to set this up with a boom on the left channel and a lav on the right. So if you have a boom mic, like we will on input 1, you want phantom power on, if it needs phantom power. And if you have like a lav, you want phantom off. Okay, so now we're going to hook things up. And no low cut. Low cut throws data away. We don't like to throw data away. Actually, I'll keep going through the menu. Let me just go back to mixer to get back to that. Okay, output. This is where you can control volume. That the knob, if the knob is controlling volume on the side for volume. And that's for your headphones volume, not your input volume. So I want that it's on the knob. Back. Recording, let's double check. Sample rate, 44.1 is for CD audio. We're pretty much never going to use that in film. 48K is generally sufficient, but I would go ahead and record 96K for maximum ability in post. Pre-record off, that is where it would be constantly pre-recording and it eats up battery. Record source, pre-mixer, which means that really whatever you do with gain is not making a difference. You're going to have to do post-production audio on it. Post-mixer would be if you're using this as a mixer. The H4 ends are not very ergonomic. I would probably leave it pre-mixer. It just means you absolutely must do post-production audio. Because it's basically recording raw signal into the mixer, nothing that you've adjusted the gain on. I don't like record start tones. Metadata is off, which is fine because there's really no significant data that comes from these. Okay, SD card, we already formatted it. This is where you format. USB is if you're using this as file transfer or an audio interface with your computer. So if you need to hook a microphone up to your computer, you can do it with these inputs. And then a USB-C cable hookup to your computer to use it as an interface or to transfer files if you don't have a card reader. And system, we're going to set the date and time, because I always like to get things close together before we record. We should be good on all these settings. Okay, so let's hook stuff up. Got headphones. So I'm going to hook my headphones up to line out, not line in. And I'm going to start my volume around the middle. Okay, headphones are hooked up. Then in the bottom, just like on other devices, you have pins to make sure you do not hurt things. And I have a lot of cables up here, more than I need. The M.F.A. microphone that I had some sound issues, so I'm going to use another one of the mics we have in the office. And there we go. And you can see that there is now sound coming into channel 1 from this boom mic. Listen to it. Check, and my volume's too low for my headphones. There we go. Now I can hear it. So I can hear it. I needed to go pretty high on my headphones for me personally. And I only hear it Yes, I confirmed I only hear it in my left ear, which is why I did that stereo linking. If I go into mixer, I can turn up, hit enter, and then I can turn up the gain on this if I feel I need to be able to hear it okay. And you can hear the distortion right here if well, I'm not currently recording, but you would have been able to hear distortion. Okay. Now I'm going to hook up a wireless lav. So I have one of our lavs. I'll go ahead and turn it on. Power and power. Green light, it's paired, and it says it's paired here. Okay. These can turn. Okay, and that is much louder than this boom mic. Just with what this microphone is. It is not one of our normal mics we use. All right, and I can hear the lav in my right ear and the boom mic in my left. All right, so I'm going to record by hitting the red button, and I know it's recording because of that red light. And if I go out of the mixer view, I can see where it started recording with the red. And you can see mics 1 and 2, the built-in mics on the top, are not recording, and 1 and 2, boom and lav, are. And in mixer view, we can see these levels. Okay, so there's that test. And just for experimentation's sake, I am going to go into the record menu for inputs, and I'm going to change this from stereo to off. And what this does is it's now in my headphones summing the two signals, which drives me crazy for mixing. But if I go to the mixer, now I can control these levels separately. But since we're recording pre-gain, it doesn't even matter what these levels are. It's only recording them as a mix, or as their pre-gain levels. You always want to test what is this actually going to do through the pipeline to get to a finished project. Don't just assume whatever you do in production is automatically going to go through the pipeline. One of the biggest pieces of advice I have with working with any gear is do a test run. Do a total workflow test run. Be it an H4essential or sound devices or whatever camera, check your codecs, do a workflow test before your actual shoot. Right. Make sure you turn off the Zoom. So it fully saves your data and you don't risk hurting your card before you take it apart. And make sure you push the little tabs. When you take out your cables. Remove batteries before storing. And take out your microSD card. Oops, and take out your microSD card. Be very careful not to lose it or break it. And since this doesn't record a backup, make sure you take care of this audio file and get it transferred and backed up immediately.